Hasbro seemingly has become obsessed with upping the ante with bigger and badder toys between their Titan-class Transformers, HasLab crowdfunded figures, and made-to-order big boy toys like Apocalypse or the Gamerverse Venom. They've really broken into the deluxe super expensive toy market, and now they can compete with stuff like Hot Toys, both for scale and for making your wallet cry.
Where's my money?
And today I want to look at two of the biggest boys yet that they've put on the market. One of the coolest antagonistic enemy soldiers in the history of comics, the Sentinels are evil robots designed to capture mutants in the Marvel Universe with extreme prejudice. And for many years it seemed like a scale-accurate toy of these behemoths was out of the question. Until recently. Let's look at the HasLab X-Men Sentinel and his 90s cartoon-themed counterpart to ask the question, are these uber-expensive toys right for you? So if you want to watch a feeble old man playing with figures that are so heavy I can barely lift them, this is the place for you. Let's compare and contrast these two purple titans of mutant hunting malice and see which Sentinel brings home the goose. Getting high-end action figures like these for your collection sure can be costly. Everything fun's been costly lately, so it certainly doesn't hurt to get some extra income to help smooth things out. That's why you should check out today's sponsor, FreeCash. FreeCash is a loyalty reward app where users from all over the world can sign up for free and make money online by playing mobile games from different categories. I'm surprised too, but this is totally legit. FreeCash has 4.7 stars with over 250,000 reviews on Trustpilot. You just log in, look through the Discovery tab where you can see what games are available and how much they're offering. Then you go to your offers to check what games you've been playing and your progress on rewards. Be sure to turn on that app tracking so FreeCash can reward you for your progress on games. You just play for a little while and earn. You can cash out and get your rewards through PayPal, Venmo, Google Play, Amazon, or even a bank transfer. For example, I chose this game Disney Solitaire because Solitaire is nostalgic for me and it seemed easy enough. I earned coins for finishing a few rounds that earned real money that I transferred into my PayPal account. Depending on your country, the interface may look a little different, but the rewards still function the same. I also made a few in-app purchases that help me progress further and get cash back too. Want to make a little extra money on the side just by doing something as simple as playing games? Then use my link in the description or scan my QR code to check out FreeCash and you'll get a $5 bonus on your first offer. Now back to the video. When you become a grown-up, there's a certain expectation that you'll put away childish things and get more grown-up hobbies. Instead of collecting toys, you can collect something mature like, quarters or stamps. But I think mine is the first generation that really just said to hell with that and made the hobby grow up with us. Now Lego sets cost $90 and action figures can cost $300 because these are grown-up toys. It's okay, the kids aren't missing out. They're playing with iPads and none of them will ever learn how to read at this rate. Apparently my audience are mostly adults, which is either a sign that we're all under arrested development or you guys are lying when you make your YouTube accounts. But either way, these are some costly additions to my collection, which is why I want to thank my close friend Jackson the Rocket Scientist for buying the X-Men 97 Sentinel for me for Christmas. Oh, that's pretty cool. Thanks, man. Here you go.
Holy shit!
It's stickers!
You got this!
Yeah! He must have heard me moping about how I'll never have it because I live under the perpetual scam of oppressive HOA fees eating into my screw-around money just so some old people can pocket the bulk of it and then pay a guy to not fix the roof shingles for 14 months and counting. I know I've lost most of you, so let's just talk about the toys. Clocking in at over 22 inches tall is the X-Men 97 Sentinel figure, based on their appearance in the new season of the show, which is based on their old appearance from the old seasons, which is based on how Jack the King Kirby and Jay Gavin drew them in X-Men issue 14. Man, issue 14? These fascia bots have been here since the very beginning. No wonder they're so ingrained in the brand identity. Plus, it's just cool to have an army of killer robots in anything. If only the movies had ever nailed down a better design for them. They never really got that right, despite the Sentinels being such a huge part of it all. God, he's so big I can barely fit him on the set I built for these reviews. This is the newest big-ass release from Hasbro, and I gotta say I really dig how he looks when displayed with other figures based on the Marvel animated universe. The vast majority of my collection of Marvel Legends is just trying to get the retro-style figures based on those 4 cartoons. 5 if they actually made some damn Hulk toys. That's all I'm missing! Come on, please give me the 90s cartoon Hulk! He has red pants and long hair. Sentinel Prime comes in a cool box stylized like the other figures from the 97 line. But the image on the front is just painted on because he's too big to put in a window box. At that point, it'd look more like a cybernetic good guy doll. Naturally, with a toy this big, he needs a healthy amount of ratchet joints to hold the weight of all these heavy parts. So playing with him in any capacity is going to get you that lovely clicking and clacking noise that's partially drowned out by the sound of my wife cooking spaghetti in the background, since I have to film these in the kitchen. I know he's not exactly a lot to write home about in terms of details, but that's accuracy to the design. The original Sentinels were drawn pretty simplistic and toyetic, and it worked for the animated series to keep that simplicity in their animated models, to make these things easier to draw frame by frame. In fact, they were probably easier to animate than some of the main characters, who were designed with their more complex 90s costumes in mind, and had 4 layers of shading on them. I've watched X-Men the animated series back to front about 5 times now, and the animation gets pretty rough, making the clean and smooth animation from Season 6 all the more exciting. Though the scale for the Sentinels across all 6 seasons is all over the place, and this is either too small or too big compared to a 6-inch figure, depending on which shot you're comparing it to. He's capable of some decent poses, but nothing too overtly flexible, which is okay because it's intended to be a heavy robot, and Sentinels aren't that nimble. They're more just meant for overwhelming force and being simply too heavy metal to destroy. Naturally, any toy that has fully segmented posable fingers requires a juvenile set of obscene hand gestures. Ooh, gotcha! 2 for flinching! He also comes with a handful of accessories. Literally. He's got these blast effects that work as palm lasers if you want to display him fighting teeny tiny mutants. Or for his rocket boots if you could somehow find a stand strong enough to hold this big bastard in a flying pose. He's also got a replaceable faceplate, chest piece, and helmet cap to create a battle damaged look. Make sure to push from underneath the chin to snap out the faceplates. Prying them from up top really doesn't work, and you don't want to damage something this expensive like a dumbass trying to get engagement on Instagram Reels by dropping his $400 Hot Toys repeatedly. There, now he looks like he's been getting hacked up by a 5'2" metal-plated skeleton-having Canadian. Or just like one of the Junkyard Sentinels in 97's first episode when they find Bolivar Trask surrounded by busted old robots. Yeah, see, I'm realizing again that this Sentinel is not nearly big enough to grasp an entire human being in his hand like this, or having Hank McCoy sitting in its chest cavity and ratatouilleing it from the inside. I suppose a toy in that scale would have to be like as tall as I am in real life. I don't think Hasbro's going to be able to crowdfund that, so the 22-inch one is our best bet. He's a solid figure with some nice accessories, but really all there is to it is just the sheer scale. Let's do some size comparisons to admire that more. Here's an itsy-bitsy 5-point-something-inch tall cel-shaded Wolverine from the VHS-style packaging. Got the 14-inch Titan Hero Series Sentinel, which also lives in my collection of X-Men figures. For a while, I thought that was going to be the only option for a Sentinel to go with my 90s cartoon display. But in truth, he actually scales way better with the 3 3/4-inch X-Men figures. Jeez, what else do I have that would look impressive next to this thing? Godzilla! Yeah! Godzilla! I love this big f***ing Godzilla toy so much. I put him in my living room next to my fireplace. I want everyone to know I own this. I wish I had more kaiju monsters that scaled with this guy. I need a King Ghidorah to go with this that comes in a box the size of a washing machine. I need more robots and monsters that are the size of a toddler to fill the void in my life of not having a child of my own. I'll take this Godzilla to the park and push him on a swing. I don't care. Now, as impressive as 97 Sentinel is, he pales in comparison when you put him next to the HasLab Sentinel from a few years ago, who is even more of a unit. Looks like we got our work cut out for us, bub. Measuring up to a staggering 27 inches, ladies. This mechanical mutant mutilator is definitely too tall for the set that I made for these reviews. Special thanks to my dad for buying this one for me, also for Christmas. Having a Christmas bonus and being able to successfully haggle with sellers of expensive shit on the aftermarket are two of his special perks that I don't have on my build. I would have probably asked if I could get it for slightly cheaper, and then the dude would just flatly say no. And I'd say, okay, sorry to bother you, and then I would never attempt to buy it ever again.
$40.
What?
He doesn't know how to haggle.
Was there something oddly prescient about my 2025 Christmas presents being unfeeling, faceless drones meant to stalk the streets with heavy firepower and raid the homes of oppressed minorities on behalf of a corrupt and racist government?
Do not be alarmed. I am here to serve and protect.
The HasLab Sentinel towers over anything in your display. It's so huge it's breaking the borders of being an action figure and becoming nerdy-ass furniture. He's so huge that it feels like I need to have him sitting down to fit in the damn frame. Surprisingly, he has a lot less ratchet joints than the 97 figure. Some of his joints are totally smooth and slide with no clicks to be found. Maybe that serves as relief for some collectors who don't like ratchet joints because the teeth wear out over time from too much usage. But he still has some of that in the thighs. He's got about the same points of articulation, but with a little bit less range due to the parts being much more bulked out. He's too muscular to touch his own nose. Now that's a real man. Right off the bat, the HasLab Sentinel has so much going for it in terms of sculpted detail. Look at all these wires and the paint applications, it's beautiful. Every single component of this thing looks good from every angle. There's so much mechanical detailing to really sell the idea of being a massive battle machine. Obviously, they took some visual cues from the more contemporary Iron Man designs. Which is funny because it's pretty obvious in hindsight that the classic Sentinels and Iron Man were designed by the same person. Mr. Kirby sure loved his circle on the chest and big rounded helmets and palm lasers. Speaking of helmets, this one has many. In order to justify the price that they make you pay for these things during crowdfunding, Hasbro also includes some pretty cool accessories with the HasLabs, like alternate heads. There's of course the battle-damaged variant, which is actually even better than the 97 one because the damage affects the whole head and has some pretty big chunks missing. And it even comes up with a messed up hand to imply mutants sliced off his digital digits. Your piano playing days are over, chump. Oh yeah, this one takes batteries and has light-up features. The big, not arc reactor lights up, and the ball-jointed head has a window in it for the electronics to shine through for all the compatible heads. He's also got the Tri-Sentinel head, which rotates to show 3 different faces like a He-Man toy. I don't have it clicked all the way down because this one is by far the hardest one to remove because it doesn't really have a jaw to get, like, your finger hooked up underneath. It's just like a cup. I think the Tri-Sentinel head is a bit of a miss because the whole gimmick of that design is having 3 sets of arms, too. And that's just too insane to reasonably include as an accessory, so the reference just feels half-hearted. Lastly, the most Jack Kirby-looking helmet design you've ever seen in your life, Master Mold. Master Mold is the giant Sentinel containing their central AI, which also has the ability to create smaller Sentinels like a factory.
You will remove Senator Kelly's brain and replace it with a computer.
What?
Because of the scale difference, I've seen some collectors use the HasLab Sentinel as Master Mold, and then buy several of the 97 variants to be his henchbots. This isn't really my bag on account of A, finding the obvious art style difference very distracting because this one is way too cartoony compared to the other. B, not really loving the Master Mold head because it's out of proportion with the rest of the body and looks massive. And C, because who in God's name can afford more than one of these? It's insane to me that army builders are out here getting like 6 of these to display side by side. I thought that was just a thing from the promo render, but people are really doing it. I get that Sentinels hunt in packs, they're an army, but this is ridiculous. I don't have the money or the space for more than one of these, so it hurts my brain seeing that. You gotta be hardcore to have this many big-ass toys. Or just like rich. I could fill up a whole mansion with dumb crap. I'd be like a Resident Evil villain, but with toys. The Master Mold head is a nice novelty, though. I'm glad they included it, even if it's not my preferred topper for this plastic cake. It's so heavy and it's bigger than a baseball. There's even sculpted details on the inside of the heads that you won't even be able to see. They really went all out. For the price people are paying for these, they should have. I will say that between these two figures, the HasLab one feels a lot more sturdy when you stand it upright. I'm never worried this guy is going to fall over just because of how bottom heavy it is. The boots are clearly the chunkiest part of it somehow, and it really helps with balancing the whole thing. The other guy has slightly more wobbly legs, especially up in the upper thighs, and his ankle pivot feels like it's not going to support the full thing in some poses. But he does have the added benefit of an extra peg hole on the bottom for jet exhaust. With the HasLab, there was just no shot they could justify that. This thing is so heavy that I can barely hold it in one hand. There's no way someone's going to display it in a flying pose without holding it with ropes or something. There's no stand on Earth that can hold this thing just short of being an actual metal crane. His only other accessory are these scary metallic tendrils for snagging helpless mutants. They're rubber with a bendy wire inside, like Doc Ock arms, I guess. So if you have the patience for it, you could probably get them into some cool poses. Personally, I just think it's funny that the Sentinels have progressively gotten so big that simply capturing a mutant alive is impossible at their current stature, so they needed a secondary system to grab them without crushing them. But tendrils kind of like this did appear in issue 15 of X-Men, so that's been established as part of the Sentinel's arsenal from the start too. Even though these robots used to be like 8 feet tall max. Can you imagine the robots being able to walk around indoors, where the mutants would most likely be hiding? Nah, make them 5 stories tall so they destroy whatever structure they enter. We must really hate mutants to invent something this evil and over the top. The nice thing is that the peg holes in the palms are universal, and also work with the blast effects from his cartoony counterpart too. The HasLab Sentinel also came with 2 6-inch action figures that I don't really care about and immediately put in storage. But it's nice that they were included. I like having both of these because a huge focus of my collections are always iterative differences and design evolutions. I love seeing 2 unique versions of a similar thing side by side. Different eras of Ninja Turtles, different symbiote designs on Venom, the evolution of Transformers designs. Something about side by side comparisons of iterations just scratches a nice itch in my brain, and seeing 2 very different versions of the same evil purple robot hits that same mental spot. I hate myself for it already, but I'm thinking about the logistics of a display with every different Iron Man armor from Model 1 all the way through now. I don't even think they've made a figure of all of them yet, but that would be cool to see. Seeing as how this is Hasbro, and they're always looking for more ways to get extra bang for their buck with these, bucks. I wonder what else they could use some of this tooling for if they wanted to make another similar 22-inch action figure. My bid is for a slightly modified version so they can put a Spider-Man and Storm figure in the box and say it's the Spidey the Animated Series version.
Power of lightning, strike again!
Power of web shooters, get real sticky!
All you really have to do is change up the head sculpt slightly and then paint it a little different. Maybe modify the mold for the chest accessory so it has a different shape when it snaps on. I know they probably wouldn't do it on account of these designs not being as iconic, it's just something that the Spider-Man the Animated Series design team came up with. But it's just a thought. Plus it seems more legally viable to do this design since they already have the license for merch from that show. Something like the X-Men Evolution Sentinel is probably not feasible, even though that is arguably the coolest animated Sentinel ever. Sure, it's not accurate to the comics, but look at that thing. It's so Iron Giant combat mode coded. You taking notes, Hasbro? You don't have to be out of ideas for big toys yet. There's still lots to do. Alright. How about this? This is my $1 million idea. How about a HasLab-funded G1 Optimus Prime?
You what?
Stay with me. That scales with 6-inch figures. And it can transform into a truck that a Marvel Legends or G.I. Joe figure could sit inside of. Huh? Come on. How come we've never tried that before? Alright, what can you say about something so self-indulgently scaled up as these? They're a monument to the dragon's curse of toy collecting, always needing more, and larger, and more expensive, and better, and more! I want to chalk up the existence of these to nerds in their 20s and 30s refusing to grow up and making toys all about them instead of the children, but then I remember the G.I. Joe playsets from the 1980s that cost just as much back then and were even more stupidly massive. That aircraft carrier could have been used as a dinner table. Maybe this isn't a new phenomenon, it's just more noticeable now that we have social media to signal boost our irresponsible spending. But hey, you know what? Big toys are stupid fun, and in a world going completely to shit, maybe it's okay to just spend some money on some big plastic dumb thing you don't need, just because it puts a smile on your face every time you see it. It'll be the coolest thing in our one-bedroom apartments that reek of mold and neglect. I think we all need to stop feeling so guilty over trying to be happy, or justifying why we want things that are fun and entertaining even if they're frivolous and absurd. Being an adult is harder now than it ever has been in this country, so if you can afford it, get that big, dust-covered, used 1970s retro pinball machine for your kitchen, you big hipster. Who's gonna stop you, the fun police? The regular police? F them all! Now's not the time to completely check out of reality and live in escapism like some Peter Pan freak, but treating yourself, even as some small act of defiance, can help you survive a little bit more comfortably in these trying times.
If that costume somehow makes you happy, you're gonna buy it. You're gonna treat yourself.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna do that. I really needed this. I'm gonna treat myself.
That being said, these Sentinels are a lot of fun for a huge display of mutants, and either one works as a great centerpiece main attraction for whatever setup you're building. The HasLab one is a more modern and detailed piece that has the added functionality of lights and swappable heads, but it's just so absurdly difficult to find on the aftermarket for a good price that you have to really want this one, or just know someone with a higher barter skill that can get it for you. And then the size of it is so unwieldy that you need to have a really good place already available for it, Or plan your whole collection around it, because just short of that Unicron, it's going to be the biggest figure you'll ever own. Unless you're really set on big robots and get that bootleg Fortress Maximus figure that's 4 feet tall. I can't even justify that one as like maintaining your childhood spirit. You might actually have some serious problems if you buy that. The 97 figure may not be as impressive to look at with its more simplified and minimalist design, lacking in electronic light features and more flashy accessories, but it's definitely a lot more colorful and toyetic. I'd recommend this one over the HasLab one, if only because they clearly produced way more of them and they're easier to get your hands on, and they have slightly less demand for space. But truthfully, I think the winner for the more interesting figure is going to the HasLab. It just has more going for it as like a collector's item or like an art piece. Let me know if you have either of these, what you think about them, or if you're personally thinking about getting one of them in the comments. I like hearing from the collector community out there, and I enjoy making these toy reviews, even if they don't perform as well as standard videos. Hope to see you again for the next one, when I might just gush about more Transformers stuff, since I've got a lot of that too. Bye! They've really broken into the deluxe. Oh my god. They've really broken into the deluxe.
I'm gonna snap his neck and then throw him in a lake where no one can find him.
I always get mad at YouTube for not putting my videos in the subscription box because people will comment, "Finally, Xavier uploads again after all these years," not knowing 3 other videos came out within the last month already. So maybe that stupid bell icon thing will help you remember I exist. If you want other ways to support the channel, you can always go hit up that Patreon for early videos and exclusive stuff because it's just $1. I'm not kidding, it's only $1. Isn't that cool? If just 5% of the people subscribed to me donated only $1 a month, I could make videos even faster and keep my house. You can also check out our merch on TeePublic, or just buy some of my random stuff on eBay. I have a pretty substantial collection of old toys that are still in the box in perfect condition, so go take a look in case you find something you like. And lastly, since this is a YouTube video and you probably play Fortnite, drop my creator code XavierGM next time you buy a silly dance or a cool character skin. Really helps me out. See you next time!